Well, today's video should be very interesting. We were talking about 4 stocks I'm buying for the month of December 2017. But if you watched yesterday's video, I said that I'm not going to be buying any stocks because I'm not funneling any more money into my accounts, and I explained why for the month of December. So what I thought about and how I'm going to make today's video interesting is I'm going to discuss my 4 top investments. I'm going to explain which are my 4 top investments, okay? And I'm going to predict what is going to happen in 2018 for these investments as far as me buying more shares, selling off shares, and things like that, which is a pretty hard thing to do. It's hard to predict exactly what moves I'm going to make, several months, into the future, if not a year into the future, right? Throughout 2018. But I kind of want to explain that and kind of explain why I might be selling off some of these positions, why I might be adding more shares, and those kinds of things, guys. So I hope this video will be very interesting for you guys today, and I hope you get a ton of value out of it. By the way, make sure I'm going to have a pinned comment there is to my stock market membership group. That membership group starting December 31st for any new members after that point is going to be $47 a month. Currently is $29 a month. So make sure if you've been thinking about joining in there, make sure you get in there as soon as possible because once again, it will go up to $47 a month. For anybody after December 31st, click on that link. There's a ton of value you get in being in that group, including a 12-part stock options course, which by the way, by itself is $197 if you just purchase it by itself. But if you're in the group, you get to watch all the videos for free, which is pretty sick. It's not the smartest move I made there, but anyway, so definitely check that out if you want to get in there, guys. So let's get into this. So for the first time in over 18 months, my number 1 position is no longer my number 1 position, guys. So we will discuss that. But let's start at number 4 here. Let's start at number 4. So my 4th biggest position currently is a company named eBay. You are probably very familiar with them. All right, eBay. So what I predict is going to happen here in 2018 as far as me with eBay is I can see myself adding more shares, okay? I see myself adding more shares in this particular position. I see eBay as being a company that potentially could be my number 1 or number 2 investment during the course of 2018 at some point, okay? Since I bought in, I believe the shares are down a bit, which I like them even at the price I bought. So I could see myself loading up on more shares as 2018 rolls on. It's a company, I feel it's a growing company, one. It's growing revenues and they're growing profits right now. They're e-commerce play, one of the biggest e-commerce plays out there, and we know e-commerce is becoming more and more popular. I think they've made a lot of moves, and on the pricing side, it's almost impossible to beat eBay. Like I check prices for a lot of popular electronics. I find that eBay undercuts everybody, and it's amazing how they do it, guys. So for that reason, I see myself as adding more shares of eBay. And like I said, I think this is a company that could potentially be my number 1 and number 2 investment during the course of 2018. We will just have to see about that, guys. Now, as for my number 3 biggest position right now, it's Cirrus Logic, okay? Cirrus Logic, which is a semiconductor company. Their main customer is Apple, okay? Their main customer is Apple. They get about 80% of their revenues from Apple, all right? So if you look at any of the breakdowns, any of the teardowns of audio components in iPhones, you will see tons of Cirrus Logic components in there. I'm talking about smart audio codecs, I'm talking about audio amplifiers, I'm talking about a lot of different things like that, guys. And they're getting into the microphone space, which could be a very big business for them in the future. Also, they do have a relationship with Samsung, okay? The second biggest player you want to be in the smartphone game, right? So they have a good relationship with Samsung, but they're not the primary audio manufacturer for Samsung right now. Samsung's using Qualcomm currently as their main supplier of audio components. Why? Because Qualcomm sometimes can kind of underbid as far as, oh, if you buy this whole entire chipset, we'll give you these components for a little cheaper price. Well, with everybody trying to differentiate in audio and have the best experience possible, Cirrus Logic's really the company that is more focused than anyone out there as far as the audio experience goes. So for that reason, they have a great chance of possibly, keyword is possibly, winning back Samsung in 2018. Okay, they got a great chance of that. However, this is also a very low P company. If you look at the forward P on this company, we're talking about it somewhere around 11, okay? It's around 11. Not to mention, in around 2 years from now, they should have the voice biometrics chip come in. The voice biometrics chip is gonna be monstrous for this company. It's the biggest thing to happen to the company since they started in the smart codec business a few years ago, okay? And since that time, the company's nearly doubled. This is the type of thing that could potentially, keyword is potentially, you never know with the semiconductor companies, could but it could potentially double the company, okay, starting in about a couple years from now. So as far as this position goes, I see myself building this into also a bigger position throughout 2018. I don't think I could ever make it my number one business unless they got Samsung as a full-time customer again. If they did get Samsung as a full-time customer again, I could see myself potentially making this my number one investment. The reason I can't right now is because they get 80% of their revenue around and profits and things from Apple. And if something happened with that relationship with Apple, obviously it would be devastating for the company. And you don't want devastating things to happen to your number one investment. But that management team over there, Jason Rode and those guys, they are unbelievable, guys. Look at the track record since Jason Rode became CEO. It was like a $5 stock down back then. Now it's like a $55 stock. Like, look at where the revenues and profits have gone under the guy. He's done a phenomenal job, okay? So those cover those positions. Those are definitely positions that I see myself raising the stakes in. The number two position is now GoPro. For the first time it's ever, since basically I started the channel around, it's the first time it ever hasn't been the biggest investment, okay? So certainly since I started the, 3 stocks, 4 stocks I'm buying series. So GoPro. As far as this one goes, I don't see myself necessarily buying more shares or option contracts, but for sure not shares, maybe option contracts, but I doubt it. But at the same time, I don't see myself decreasing my stake as far as throughout 2018. So I would just put something like that there, a line where I'm not necessarily trying to, sell off my shares, but I'm not trying to buy more. The reason I'm not buying more, okay? Let's talk about that first. Why, that's pretty interesting, right? The reason I'm not buying more is because I've been burned on this one. I have been burned and I've been burned on this one, okay? And they've had opportunity and they messed up opportunity after opportunity. And for that reason, I just cannot stick more money in this one because I've been burned on it. On the flip side, as far as the positives go, they got a ton of positives. They just had Hero 6 come out. They got Karma Drone. They got their first, drone in the market now that's been out for nearly a year now. Okay, as far as actually on the market and not like in a recall situation. They've got the VR camera, which they have a great shot to be the number one player in the VR. That's a very impressive unit they came out with there. With the software, there's like a lot of buzz in the VR community about that camera. So if they can be the number one player, like they were the number one, were the number one player in action cameras, right? And by far and away, if they can become that in VR cameras, that could be potentially huge because that's a market that could be actually much bigger than the action camera market, okay? VR in the future. So that's something that's big time. And the way they've adapted with their software solutions and whatnot, I'm still very bullish on GoPro. Also, the company trades at about 1x sales, price to sales ratio. As far as price to sales ratios for most companies in S&P, it's around 3, 4, or 5, okay? There are even some companies that trade at 15, 20 times price to sales ratio. They're at a 1 price to sales ratio. So extremely undervalued stock, a stock that is growing. If you look at how much they've grown, throughout 2017 and how much they're expected to do in 2018, they're expected to be a growth company. So for that reason, there's obviously a lot of positives looking forward. This is just not one I'm really very interested at all as far as putting new money in, especially as far as buying new shares and things like that, just for the mere fact that they burned my ass over the last year and a half, guys. So that's where I'm at with GoPro. And by the way, GoPro, I did not decrease my stake in GoPro, okay? So the reason this one moved down to number 2 is actually because Wynn Resorts has done so phenomenal, okay? GoPro has done so bad that Wynn Resorts actually has become my biggest position in my portfolio. So it's not like I sold off GoPro or anything. It's just because Wynn has taken over. And mind you, I have a lot of I think I bought like $15,000 worth of call options in GoPro that are all expiring in January 2020. I bought these, a year and a half ago or so, okay? And some of those contracts are going to expire worthless, meaning they're going to be worth nothing. Some of them are going to be worth something. It's going to depend on what happens over the next couple months. So that's why GoPro has gone down to my number 2 position. Wynn is my number 1 position, okay? My number 1 position at the moment, my biggest stake of any company. And as far as what I plan on doing with Wynn throughout 2018 is I see myself decreasing my stake in Wynn throughout 2018. I see myself in 2018 potentially selling off between 50% and 100% of my stake in Wynn Resorts throughout 2018, I believe. Reason being is I have made such amazing profits on that one. I mean, we've seen how much I'm up on that. I think it's around, what was it, at 130% or 140%. an unbelievable rate, you know, way better than I would have even expected. So I've done phenomenal on that one. And this is a position that, in my opinion, will probably keep going up throughout 2018. Maybe it pushes up against that $200 level, okay? At that point, when it gets above 180 into that $200 range, at that point, I'm comfortable with selling at that point and kind of getting out. I told you guys already, my wife already sold off half her Wynn shares and bought into Apple stock. I can see myself making a move. I don't know if I'd go into Apple stock, but moving that money into some other stock at that point in time. Maybe it's an eBay that I want to increase my stake. Maybe it's a Cirrus Logic that I want to increase my stake. But as far as when, you know, I love the company long term. It's just when it, you know, pushes above the $200 level, I just see myself getting out somewhere around there, because although the company does have growth ahead of it and it does have some exciting things going for it, if it pushes against a $200 level, you're still talking about a stock that's in the 25 level, okay? And what happens, you know, the next time an economic downturn happens, whenever that is, I don't think it probably won't be in 2018, but it could be in 2019 or 2020 or 2021 or whatever. Stocks like Wynn Resorts get absolutely destroyed in that situation. So for that reason, I can see myself definitely decreasing my Wynn stake. I see myself definitely adding Cirrus, definitely adding to eBay, and I see myself just kind of holding steady. But we will see as time goes on in 2018. Just don't, you know, this isn't the manifesto. This isn't like, oh, it's 100% sure. I'm just trying to make predictions about what will happen. But maybe my opinion changes here and there, and all of a sudden I see this opportunity. I'm like, no, maybe I don't want to sell this stake. Oh, maybe I don't want to buy shares in that. We will see. I'm just trying to make predictions here on what will happen and what moves I will make in the market, guys. So hope you enjoyed this today. Don't forget to click on that pinned comment down there. That is my stock market investing group there. That's a private exclusive group, so you definitely want to join in there. Click on that, check it out, and see if you want to join. Thank you for watching, guys, and have a great day.